The 1922 D wheat penny presents a unique challenge for the modern coin collector, especially if they have an eye towards variety coins, as relatively minor differences can make a very substantial difference in price. By rights, all 1922 cent coins should have a D mint mark, as the Denver Mint was the only working mint to produce pennies for the year, for a total mintage of 7,160,000 coins. However, a small number of these coins have been discovered that have extremely weak or even no D mint marks whatsoever, and these no D mint mark coins can potentially be worth large sums of money to the collector if you know how to correctly identify them. Because not all 1922 no D pennies are created equally, as it turns out. You see, in 1922, no more than 30 working dies were created and sent to the Denver Mint to strike pennies. This was woefully insufficient, and they were forced to keep dies in service far longer than would usually be the case. As a result, most 1922 Lincoln cents were struck with worn out or eroded dies. That's how you get a coin that is graded as an AU or even an MS, with the details that you would normally see on a coin with a grade of maybe VG8 in any other normal year. In addition to that, there was a problem where filled dies, which is where shallow details on a coining die, like say the mint mark, would get packed or filled with die grease. Now, die grease is a combination of metal dust, shavings, and oil. This substance would then work its way into the mint mark recess and fill it up over time, then get knocked out only to get packed in again. This would create an alternating cycle where a D or no D or weak D mint marks would be created with the same die. Now, for the coin collector or coin hunter, there are 3 confirmed die marriages that we should be primarily concerning ourselves with. Die pairs 1 and 3 are formed in a way that was just described, and are technically error coins instead of being true varieties. Now, it is important to note that die pairs 1 and 3 both have what is known as a weak reverse, so we'll take a look at those 2 first. Identifying a weak reverse coin is fairly simple. The reverse displays weak details, even in higher grade coins. The lines in the weak stalks will be poorly defined or appear worn down, and the letters of E pluribus unum will show signs of die deterioration to varying degrees, although exceptions of course do exist. The more defining characteristic is always a weak or completely missing D mint mark on these coins though. So now that you know how these coins were made, let's take a closer look at the die marriages themselves, starting with die pair number 1. On this coin, on the obverse, you can either have a no D or a weak D example, where a weak D is a coin where signs of a D mint mark can be found, but is extremely faint or not as strong as it should be. A no D coin will have no signs of a D mint mark whatsoever. Then examine the date, where the second 2 in the date is always weaker than the first 2. This is from a combination of die erosion or uneven polishing to try and clean up the die in order to extend its useful life cycle. Then turn your attention towards the letters of In God We Trust. The first T in trust appears to be smaller in addition to clearly being more well defined, an indication that the letter may have been recut at some point. At the same time, it appears that the first T, the U, and the last T are also slightly stronger than the R and the S of the same word. Staying up here with the letters of we should also be very mushy, by which I mean soft or squished almost, very poorly defined at least. The typical reverse for a die pair number 1 coin is weak, with very little details in the wheat ears, especially the lines closest to the rim of the coin. In addition to this, there is what is known as a jogging die crack on the reverse, which runs from the L in pluribus southeast diagonally down and through the O in 1. Now, at this point, I should probably mention that a straight or radial die crack is also known in the same position on normal 1922D cent coins. The way to differentiate the two from each other is that on the normal die crack, it will be running in a straight line through the top of the O. On the weak or no D coins, from die marriage number 1 at least, the die crack will be jogging across the top of the O, where the line of the crack is broken or split off to run diagonally across the top of the O and then only continues down. Die pair 1 is still collectible and will see a premium over normal coins. In 2019, a PCGS graded weak D 1922D penny from die pair number 1 was sold at auction with a grade of MS63 red brown for $1,320, while in 2014, a PCGS graded no D weak reverse 1922 coin was also from die pair number 1 was sold for $4,371 at the same grade. Although even a low-level coin like this can retain its value, in 2023, a 1922 no-D weak reverse die pair 1 example, graded by NGC as F12, was sold at auction for $336. Moving on to die pair number 3 from there. Again, here, just to be clear, there can exist either weak D or even no D variants. Starting with the obverse, here again the second 2 in the date is weaker than the first 2, although some slight degree of variance for this does exist from coin to coin. On die pair 2, the letters of trust are more sharply struck up and better defined than the letters of In God We. Furthermore, the letters of liberty are all fairly sharply struck, except for the L, which typically has some weakness in the base or the foot of the letter. Also, in a later die state, the R of liberty can show some advanced signs of die deterioration. Here, the reverse of the coin is typically very weak, although the die crack is absent completely from this die marriage number 3. And the wheat stalks are worn, with very few to no lines in them. And the typical example shows strong signs of die deterioration in the letters of E pluribus unum. Furthermore, the reverse of this coin tends to look very wavy or uneven as a result of uneven die abrasion, where more material was removed when it was polished in some areas than others. Now, this is a bit hard to demonstrate with a photo, but it tends to show up below the C of cent, the E of 1, and the general lower third quadrant of the coin when oriented correctly. Also, in later die states, the lower left portion of the O in 1 is starting to spread into the fields of the coin as well. In 2021, a 1922 weak D penny from die pair 3 was sold at auction, graded by PCGS as MS63 red brown for $720. And in 2019, a 1922 die pair 3 no D penny graded by PCGS as MS64 red was sold for $22,800. Which then finally brings us to the real star of the show, the famous 1922 no-D strong reverse Lincoln cent. This is what is known as die pair number 2. It differs from 1 and 3 in that the D mint mark was not filled with die grease, but rather instead absent completely from the coin. This die marriage was formed when the obverse and reverse dies clashed, or in other words struck each other without a coining blank being fed in between them first. This damaged both dies. The reverse die was likely irreparably damaged and likely broke altogether, and as such was replaced with a fresh die with crisp and clear details. This is the strong reverse type. The obverse die was not as badly damaged and could still be repaired and put back into service. This was done by polishing the die to remove the clash marks, but in the process, the demint mark was also removed completely. This is how you end up with die pair number 2, with a soft or worn obverse lacking a mint mark and a strong reverse with sharp details. This is the only true variety. On the obverse of the coin, there should be absolutely no trace of a demint mark. The second 2 of 1922 was recut and is thusly sharper than the first 2 of the coin. All the letters of trust are sharp on this particular coin. The letters of we are only slightly mushy, but are not quite as sharp as the letters of trust. But the in God section is very soft and mushy on this coin. And while the mint mark was completely erased, the front right portion of Lincoln's jacket was also partially erased at the same time. The reverse of the coin should look practically new in comparison. Now, when examining a coin that you think might be the strong reverse, no D die pair number 2, look at all of these die markers, as forgers have been known to take a normal 1922 D penny and grind away or remove the demint mark to try and fool unsuspecting collectors. That is also why I showed you the other 2 die pairs first, so that you can learn to tell the difference between these genuine coins and a fake no D penny from 1922. In 2024, a PCGS graded 1922 no D strong reversed or die pair 2 wheat penny was sold at auction. Graded as MS64 red brown, it achieved a closing price of $72,000. To put that into its proper context, during 2020, the finest known 1922 D Lincoln cent, graded by PCGS as MS66 plus red, an amazing coin to behold, was sold at auction for $18,800. Subscribe to WNN and activate all notifications with the bell icon to know when new videos are released. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you for watching, keep collecting, and have a fantastic day.